Ladies and gentlemen, we're back with another Meeting Gold episode today.
My approach has always been the relationship, period. This guy's making it fun. This isn't even about the product yet. He's just resonating with people.
Be honest with me. What have the challenges been in the growth of the business?
Whether you know it or not, with your approach, positive attitude, you are going to get where you want to get.
How would you feel you go about?
High conviction. You have to believe in your perspective.
So much so that it's not a sales process for you.
Then I got into the startup space.
As well as your past experiences.
I understand how these people operate. And is it inspiring?
Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to take a quick break from our show to say a massive thank you and a big shout out to one of our amazing sponsors, Dave DiStefano. Dave is a mortgage broker with over 13 years in the business, and Dave has a great rapport with a network of lenders, including big banks, credit unions, trust companies, financial institutions, and private funds. He will work on your behalf to help you find the best mortgage with the most agreeable terms and the lowest interest rate. After meeting Dave many times and having great discussions with him, he provides a level of confidence and comfort in knowing that he is going to take care of you. If you want to reach out to Dave, you can find his office on 6293 Thorold Stone Road in Niagara Falls. For more information or to make an appointment for any of your mortgage needs, call 905-933-1090. That's 905-933-1090. And thanks for listening. Back to the show.
What's going on, Meeting Gold listeners? It's Chris Battaglia, 416 Coffee. Use the coupon code Meeting Gold to get 10% off your first order at 416 Coffee. Enjoy the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back with another Meeting Gold episode today. We've got a guy that I met last Thursday. Last Thursday. I went up to him. I said, hey, man, I loved you on stage. I think you're a great sales guy. Your speech was amazing. Your pitch was awesome. I run a show. Can I interview you? And here he is a week later.
Yes.
Joseph Wibe.
Not only did you approach me, you did it with like such a positive attitude, which is so much, I think, as to why we're speaking today is that, and again, you're much younger than me, but just how you approached me, like I was very impressed, and not to toot your horn, but you just came up to me, great smile, you introduced yourself, you shook my hand. You were holding a gimbal. I saw you around, and I'm a camera guy. I'm a tech nerd. Done film and videography my whole life, so I appreciated, something that you're doing. I'm like, oh, that's a great gimbal.
Similar interests,
and you came with such a positive attitude. Shook my hand, sent me, gave me an invite. And then you just smiled at me and kind of walked away. So the importance that you made a positive impact. You didn't invade my space or my time.
Well, I knew you were selling.
We were busy.
All day. You were doing a good job, too. You were one of the most busiest booths.
Yes, we were busy, but that's how much I appreciate it. And I know a lot of the stuff we'll talk about today. I think just knowing you for this brief amount of time in a week, you're setting yourself up for success.
Thank you.
By having that incredible aura about you when you approach somebody and then giving them their space, which I think is hugely important.
And let's get into that too, because I think you're very good at that with how you did it on stage while only you're the only one that's allowed to talk. So when it's supposed to be about you, but you made it wasn't about you. You made the people feel like they were in control when you're the only one talking.
Yes.
And I think there's an art to that. And why I went up to you was just because out of everybody that I saw on stage and the interviewers interviewing, all those guests, like the celebs that came out on stage for Aurea, I found it really interesting. I thought you just had a level of ability to make somebody feel comfortable in what should be just a preaching session of, oh, I got to listen to this guy. Talk to me about, before we get into that specifically, talk to me about you, 10, 15 years old, growing up with your parents. What was that situation like, just so I can get a better understanding of that, how you grew up?
So, interestingly enough, when I was 15 years old is when I guess there was a big shift in my life. So growing up, very traditional family, without going too deep, my parents broken up, and there was a lot of, I guess, just to speak broadly to everybody, including yourself, because we all have demons, we all have fears that are a result of maybe our childhood or something we experienced. So I had that, just as everybody does. We'll go deeper into this, but there's something in my life, on my shoulders, my entire life, that I like to refer to as my strategic disadvantage.
Ooh,
yes.
Wow, that's an interesting word to say to a disadvantage.
Yes.
I don't think I've heard those in the same sentence.
No, and I think it really will resonate as we get into that, but I always wanted to be an actor growing up. My mother, when I was about 10 and my parents got divorced, my mother is just a superhuman woman. She was able to support me, my sister, work endlessly, but her real passion was music. So she's an artist at heart, but she did everything in her power to stay afloat, to provide for us, and she provided such an incredible life for us. Like really, I have nothing to say I didn't have every opportunity and whatever I wanted in life. She really tried to provide, but it came at a sacrifice. So I never took that for granted. I started pursuing acting when I was about 15 years old because I watched Home Improvement. Do you know that show? Do you know Home Improvement?
I might not have even been born.
You weren't. But
is it fair to say I know like Scott McGilvery, HGTV, that kind of thing?
Yes, but maybe same time period, but no, that would have been rerun time for that.
Yeah, so that would, yeah.
Home Improvement was Tim Allen. There were 3 young brothers. They had a young boys' room. For some reason, it resonated with me. I'm like, man, I want to do that. Like, it looked like fun. I want to have 3 brothers because I only had a sister, and something just made me want to play, to pretend. And that's really what acting was. I got an agent.
At what age?
15.
At 15?
15, I got an agent, but I was so bad as an actor.
Really?
And, to dilute it really quickly, I just didn't have life experience because I had a great life up until that point. I had a very, good, kind family, Lebanese descent, so very cultural, a lot of the traditions, big family, big, loud environments. All over North America, we would travel quite a bit to see our family. And, I would just go into auditions, and I would get nervous, couldn't remember words, I'd sweat. I'd just be sitting there, looking into a camera, and I'd be like, oh my God, I can't remember my lines, and I'm sweating, So I never even understood the essence of what it was to be an actor, which very much ties to performance that you saw last week.
Yeah.
So it took a lot of my time. I had to get away from it. Did the traditional thing that my mother and probably my father as well and other family members would prefer me to have done, go get an education, go into the corporate world, which I did. I went and studied film and TV. Great experience, but again, opportunities were really difficult to come by. And I, kind of let go of acting. The strategic disadvantage component there kind of ties into, I think number one is, no matter what you want in life, you have to understand you've got to wait. You have to believe that there's maybe a really short time period or potentially a really long time period. Up until what you saw last week was 22 years in the making for me.
Really?
And I knew it was coming. And I had to do everything in my power to curate over the last 3 years of being with the company I'm currently with, getting to the point where I got the opportunity that you saw last week. And I was fully prepared for it. It's that idea that it's better to be prepared for an opportunity and not get one than to get an opportunity and not be prepared. Right?
I just have to jump in. It's so funny that you say that because it just gave me a whole shift in perspective. You really don't know what somebody put in just to get to that position. Whether you think that's a all-star incredible position or not, they put in the time to get there. And the 5-10 minutes you were given to speak on the stage in front of the judges, in front of so many people for literally one of the first of the second day, some people would have casually forgotten about, but not have recognized the amount of hard work and understanding and blood, sweat, and tears that went into just the planning and curation of Joseph Wibe on stage.
Even yourself, when you came up to me, immediately I knew you were young.
Of course.
I knew you were young.
I'd like to think maybe 21, not 19, but maybe, I don't know.
I didn't know if you were coming up to me and saying, you're my father, which, would terrify me. But, you can just tell when someone approaches you. I said, okay, immediately by your passion, the fact that you're carrying around gear and doing your stuff, you had a podcast, all this great stuff. I just knew that whether you know it or not, whether it's tomorrow that you blow up, again, I don't know the numbers of all your videos online and obviously the success metrics that you follow, but if you keep at it with your energy, with your approach, positive attitude, you are going to get where you want to get. For me, I've always believed and understood. And some people might think I'm crazy for saying, like, you know, everyone wants success now. Yeah. I need to see results tomorrow. And there's all these influencers out there that tell you, no, you be hardest worker in the room. You got to do it today. And it makes you feel like you have to get results tomorrow.
Yeah, it does. And that sense of urgency, it's taken the wrong way.
Yes. And you have to believe in your heart. Always wanted to be an actor. Okay. I know when I was 15, I knew pretty quickly that I wasn't going to be on that TV show I wanted to be on anytime quickly. Mm-hmm. So this is a process. And the process that I then went through from film school is get into the corporate world. So I went into media, freelance media, videography, photography, started doing it for companies, large companies too. I had corporate events for these companies. It was great. Slowly got into project management and telecom. That was a great experience. I was starting to work with Walmart and Tim Hortons, really big companies.
Wow.
It was awesome. Then I got into the startup space, and I was working for a company that was gamifying Taekwondo, just like Street Fighter. So in contact sports like boxing, it's based on points. So if I tap you basically with my finger, I'd get a point. But this was based on pressure. So the harder I hit you, the more power you lose. And that technology is now being considered for Olympic usage, which is awesome.
Seriously?
Yes, 2020 armor, really, really cool. And I was there in the infancy of it and learned a lot. Learned a lot about the startup space.
Sorry, what location were you in, like geographically around the world?
Toronto.
You were in Toronto?
Toronto, yeah. Born and raised here, and I was fortunate enough to be able to work there.
I just felt that was an important piece of the puzzle.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, there's also the component of travel and how much that's taught me in my life. But in terms of the like working, actually when I was doing the freelance media stuff, that took me all over North America.
Right.
Boston, Pittsburgh, I worked quite a bit, made incredible relationships. Again, a lot of things you learn when you work in different atmospheres. But in Toronto, most of my, I guess, careers, that was great because I was in a world all of a sudden of like Taekwondo. I'd go to MMA conferences and you're pitching, you're doing this, that, and the other. I didn't understand how they communicate in this industry. It's very different than just communicating in any business environment that I've ever been in. It's Taekwondo, it's martial arts, the way you approach people, bowing to certain leaders in that space. It really like little things you have to be aware of. And again, you have to be adaptable, like wildly adaptable. Now, I have the benefit of having acting training, improv, understanding that you have to empathize, you have to be able to adapt, not just as an actor, but in the business world.
Right.
So here I am in a martial arts space. I'm super comfortable. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to observe. I'm going to be quiet and learn as much as I can, absorb it, even if it was one day. And say, okay, I understand how these people operate.
Interesting.
You have to be able to absorb.
Right.
Be open to adapting, not changing yourself, but just adapting.
Would you say that a lot of your learning came from just visualizing other people? So like putting yourself in certain positions with different relationships, like you said, through acting and doing the freelance media and all that kind of stuff, meeting different people. Would you say that you learned a lot just from seeing how they do things?
I think I would say I learned what not to do. I tend to learn what I wouldn't want to do when I look at people.
Yeah.
When I look at presenters, when I look at performers, as I always try to look at things from the audience perspective. And by audience, I even mean other people in the industry. If you're meeting with a bunch of venture capitalists and you watch other companies or other people just interact with them, you learn very quickly their body language. You're like, oh, is this someone that might have a dirty sense of humor? Is this somebody that likes to be left alone in a corner? I met a gentleman about 2 weeks ago. He was just like that. And that's more or less how I am when I just go out and party. I'm like, you know what? I'll spend half the night in a corner. Yeah. I always want to sit down somewhere. I don't need to like bump shoulders with people. I like to just be on my own. You have to like analyze and understand that because that's going to give you your best chance to approach them and make them feel comfortable. Again, you coming up to me with this incredibly positive attitude about yourself and a smile, you shook my hand, introduced yourself, and you didn't bother me. And I don't know if that's something deep down you had sensed.
Actually, and sorry to jump in. I did that because I knew that if I did, it would actually leave a wrong impression.
Exactly.
Like I want something, like if you had said no to the interview, fine. You know, it's not the end of the world. I didn't want it to come across like I was forcing you to say yes, or forcing you to use my product, or forcing you to do media services with me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, so the part of that I get to is this whole concept that I think maybe I'm starting is the strategic disadvantage. So when you look at social media right now, when you look at just any YouTube video, you look at influencers and they're just saying, you know, what they had to overcome in their lives. I don't know if there's anybody in their life that hasn't had to overcome something, even if it's been incredibly positive. Oh, I was raised in money, whether it's abuse, depression, all this stuff. Everybody knows there's a story. Generally speaking, when you go on stage and you start talking about your story, to be honest, I don't think people really give a damn unless they can relate to you. Now, by relate, it doesn't mean they have to, oh, he suffered from depression. I suffered from depression too. No, it doesn't matter if I've had depression or not. It's about, is this person impacted by what they've had to overcome? And is it inspiring?
Interesting. Simple. So, okay, what would you find when you go on stage? I'm kind of diverting from, how you got into this, but I just have to ask because I feel like it's so relative to what we're talking about right now. When you go on stage, is your goal to make somebody feel like they can easily relate to you? Is that how you build that relationship with 1,000 people who are just looking at you, who can't really talk back?
I think so. To be honest, so when I went on stage, did you see my whole presentation?
I did,
beginning to end.
Yeah.
So I go on stage, and it was like it was a pitch competition. So you're there I was there with 2 other startups,
yep.
And there's a panel of judges and a host. And you go on there, you have 4 minutes tight. They will cut you off. They will turn off your mic. So it puts on a good amount of pressure on you in a fun way.
Yeah, wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's fun. And they say it, whether they do it, or not is a different story, but you're supposed to abide by the rules.
Yeah.
And I go up there and I you strategically plant, jokes or lighthearted comments throughout your presentation. And I had about 4 or 5 different jokes that I knew I could plug in if and where appropriate. You keep that in your arsenal to see how the audience reacts. So I knew I'm coming in and it's an audience of realtors. I know a lot of realtors. Our user base is realtors, our biggest user base anyways, of all the verticals that we address. And so I have an idea of what their sense of humor is like, where they tune out, where they tune in, and I go up there and I say something. I just throw it in there as I make a remark about how busy their lives are on their cell phone. I say, oh, you get this notification, email, text, Tinder. Everybody laughs.
Everybody laughed.
Everybody laughed.
My God, everybody did laugh. That's so funny because I just remember that.
But the host then makes a remark. And my first reaction as a performer is, wait a minute, there's a clock running and I haven't budgeted time for this interruption. Now, it wasn't an interruption, it was funny.
It was, you had to adapt.
I had to adapt, but I like to think, and again, if she ever sees this clip, she'll be like, but the truth is, I like to think that I was charming enough or personable enough that she felt comfortable being a part of my presentation.
Ah, interesting.
The fact that if I tried cutting off someone else, not cutting off, that's a very rude statement. I'm so happy she did what she did because it made it that much more fun for everybody.
You played off of it too.
Absolutely. Well, and that's improv. That's pure acting training.
Yeah, that's
my absolute advantage over generally most of the people that I will either present against or just side by side with.
Yeah.
It was only 12 hours before that my CEO offered me the opportunity to do the presentation instead of him.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Now, we talk about this idea of building up to a moment from when I was 15 years old. What do I really want? Okay, what does being an actor mean? Like, do I want to be famous? No, that's never been a goal of mine. I don't want to be famous. I like telling stories. I like maybe captivating an audience, but I like telling stories. When you're on a set, just like this, I mean, when you're doing something and it takes a team to build it, it's so fun to be a part of that.
Yeah.
When I know I can come on here and give whatever my knowledge is to making sure I'm positioned well, that I'm not moving too much, so I'm not interfering with the mic. It's all a part of like a team effort. And that's what acting is. That's what film is. That's what storytelling is. So the fact that I got to go on stage, all because of my CEO was gracious enough to give me that spot, but because I really truly believe it was the right decision.
Yep.
He would have done fantastic, but I know that there's something that I've been holding on to as an actor that I know I can bring in the business world or to this space that we're in, let alone the real estate space, because it was a real estate conference. And I knew if I just had the opportunity at any one point, it's been 3 years in the making with my CEO, building this relationship, building this trust step by step. Now, I could have started on day one and said, you got to let me have the spotlight. It's not what I wanted. I wanted to build the relationship in a traditional capacity. I want to learn more, because you fake it till you make it. I came into this tech space not knowing a thing. The terms that they were throwing out during Zoom calls, I'm Googling on the side. I have no idea what's going on, but I got this opportunity because of my communication skills, because of my personality. Strictly because of that I get the opportunity to work with this company, because I had an introduction from someone with a really prominent startup, and that relationship that I built with my CEO took 3 months, and then he said, I'd like you to work with me. Not because of anything that was on my resume. I didn't go to a fancy school by any means. I had 0 qualifications to be in the position that I went into. But
and I told you I went to Brock University last night and asked people, I asked students, do they think school's worth it? And I'm thinking about stories like yours, where if you can master the art of relationship building, you can get into any industry you want. Because really, every CEO wants a guy who's selling their product all the time.
Sure.
And a guy who could sell the product, know the consumer, and just talk, build relationships. Okay, so this was actually leading into one of the questions that I wanted to ask you. What would you define the relationship selling process? And not that this is like, okay, really quickly, a lot of people think, build relationships so you can make the sale to that person, even if it takes 5 years. No, that's not what I'm saying, and I don't think that's what you're gonna be saying. It's build a relationship. If the sale comes from it, whatever that may be, or if an opportunity comes from it, whatever it may be, know that you can provide value to somebody else, and there's a mutual level of respect there. So just take me through that process you go through in your head and how you mind map that of how you make the sale in a relationship, whether it's 5 years, 6 months, a month, whatever it may be.
I hate sales. The term sales, the traditional idea of sales. And everyone will agree with this, is that like, if you're trying to sell a product, it's better for you to be a product or brand ambassador, product evangelist, than it is to be the sales guy of a product or service. The second you insinuate to someone, whether it's on a phone call, Zoom call, or in person, that you are trying to sell them something, it's just icky. It makes you feel uncomfortable. Why? So this is a sales process. You get those phone calls where it's a script. Now, sometimes it's charming because you know how good they are at it. And
it's almost like you say yes because you...
Yeah, you're like, you're good.
That might have been me with you. I don't know.
No. You can just tell they're following a script, or they really have, but they're personable too with it. Yeah. Because you get this idea almost, let's just say it's, you call your telecom provider, you're trying to get a new phone deal. This is what happened to me on Cyber Monday, actually. I was trying to upgrade my phones, and one of the companies I called, the gentleman on the phone was just, his personality was outstanding. You could tell he was obviously of an ethnic background. And I just got this feeling that he was so charming that he was providing for his family. That's what I got by his approach, is that he's on here trying to do his best to use his warm, kind personality, probably follow a script of sorts, but he was just so charming. And I get this sense from him, just how he spoke, that he was providing. Is this his dream job? Probably not. But he was so proud that he could at least engage me in whatever way he could, even though I hated the numbers. I was like, listen, that's about twice that I'm spending now, and I want a deal. So we talk about that. My approach has always been the relationship period. And I'd always talk to my CEO about this, and obviously I start talking to venture capitalists quite a bit. I have no intention of selling you my product right now, of asking you for money to invest in our company. I have no intention of that. I'd like to know what restaurants you go to while you're here. I'd like to know what area you grew up in. If you're from Toronto, where'd you grow up?
Understand the person.
Way more to understand the person than you care about their wallet or what they do, because to be honest, you don't necessarily want to do business with everybody that can help you.
That's very true. They might be a tough client. They might, like they won't be a good representation of who you are working with.
Absolutely. Well, because they may not listen. Someone going to listen to you? Is someone going to say, oh, I understand who you are, where you're, to listen and not to just dictate what you need to do all the time. It's about relationship building 100%. So product evangelism, brand ambassadorship, product ambassadorship. This is the mindset that I always like to take.
You believe in what product you're working with or what product you're representing. So much so that it's not a sales process for you. It's, hey, I actually have something that would really help you.
Absolutely.
It's not a, oh yeah, use this and oh, great, there's my subscription every month, right? Like, it's not like that. It's a genuine want to assist.
Yes. And it's always about providing value. You know, when you look at a number, so one of the things you do in business is just understanding, like, what's that maximum threshold of a price point that you can offer to people. As a business, you always want to capitalize. So I'm like, if we're charging $10, but if we could charge 30 and we almost lose nobody in terms of subscriptions, well, we should get closer to that $30 price point. So we learned over about a 2-year period of where our sweet spot was for people based on the value we provide.
And how did you measure that?
Stickiness. It just basically, when people would sign up, how many of the objections when they wanted to unsubscribe was cost.
Interesting.
Now, we also spoke to a lot of leaders in this space. Again, it's always about relationship building. You wish you could know this stuff right when you begin. So if you're entering a new, vertical, a new industry, and you're just like, okay, we assume X, Y, and Z. No, you have to spend time with these people. You have to go to conferences. You have to go out for drinks, loosen them up, find out what their life's really like. So, for example, realtors. You sit there and we're talking about like how to solve the pain point of a realtor. So if I were to ask you, do you know a little bit about realtors?
My media company works with 80% of our business is real estate agents.
Okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
So
this is why I'm going to make this this is going to be funny. I know.
What do realtors want the most?
I would guess leads. Am I right?
You're absolutely wrong.
Yeah. Oh, wrong.
Yeah. You said the right word. That's why I'm nodding my head, because that's exactly what we would expect. Realtors want leads, whether they pay for them, they have a company, they pre-qualify them, they send them. No, realtors don't want that. Realtors probably want the nicest properties that they're actually selling to clients. Realtors probably want to have the upgrades in their homes that they're selling to clients. Realtors probably want to make enough money one month so they can just go travel the next. So the true want, again, I'm not trying to say what you said was wrong, because absolutely, realtors do want leads. When you talk about, are they going to pay for our product? They want leads. No, what do they really want?
Yeah.
They want the ability, absolutely, to get leads. They need leads. They need leads in order to do business. I believe it's more of a need. The want for a realtor is to afford themselves the lives that they're potentially selling.
That's an interesting way of looking at it. I admire that.
Yeah, I'm not, and I don't know if that's true, but from my understanding, when I meet with realtors and I speak with them, and I have a lot of close friends that are realtors, that's what I get. Why, they get frustrated because they're spending a month and a half with a lead trying to sell them a home. It's because they know that if they close that deal, that's $20,000 or $30,000 in their pocket. What does that $20,000 or $30,000 do?
Yeah.
Doesn't buy them an ad on a park bench. A little portion of it does. But it's like, oh, no, it lets me get the new Escalade.
Yeah.
It's that really nice car it's the upgraded kitchen in my place that, all those beautiful homes I'm posting on my Instagram to all of my potential clients and leads, because having a social following is a big deal. But what do you think they're posting? We all do it. We're posting things that we like or aspire to be. Projecting a life that we want people to believe that we're living, or that we're, I post a lot of stuff about one of the big goals in my life is just to work closely and even, God willing, one day have my own humane society, like a shelter for animals.
Wow.
To build a homeless shelter. I think there's so much business leaders, people who are successful and make money. We need to do a lot more to just help people that don't have homes. This is a simple problem to solve, and we ain't doing it. It's insane to me that, to build a self-sustaining system where we can help people in need and animals in need. And some people believe animals don't need shelter. I don't, because I've learned a lot from raising and being around, stray animals, dogs in particular. You learn so much from an empathy point of view to be able to raise a street dog from Mexico, to be able to make them trust you. You learn patience and kindness. probably more so than you could ever learn, I think, just trying to develop your skills using audiobooks and things like that.
So what would you say in a business relationship? How would you feel you go about bringing up a challenging topic that CEO, manager, whoever would disagree with you on?
What's the term? High conviction. You have to believe in your perspective. So getting into this space of being in a position or starting the position of the role I'm in now, of really believing, again, that strategic disadvantage thing, which we'll get into even deeper. I loved that I was the underdog going into this role. Silicon Valley, startup, you are the head of product simply because you're a great communicator, maybe, charming. That's my advantage. Now, the disadvantage is a different piece. That's the drive behind everything, which you can get into. But every time I came to the table, CEOs, VCs, potential partnerships, going to these conferences and speaking to titans of these industries, like major brokerages, executives, going up to them, having conviction, having a good personality, just like we're talking about in terms of like just being a really good communicator, having high conviction in why what you're saying matters. Doesn't matter if they don't believe you or they don't think your direction is the right way to go. If you believe in it and you stand by it, you're willing to die by the cross on it. This is what I believe. This is why I believe it. And it's going to be awesome.
And what you're saying is they'll appreciate that.
Yes. More than they will if it's a good or bad idea. The fact that I come in, we just sit down and be like, listen, these shoes are fantastic, okay? They're a little dirty on the bottom, but they're so comfortable that you're never going to want to take them off. You're going to want to do every podcast in those shoes.
Yeah.
And you might just, in your mind, you might just be like, well, actually, no, I changed my outfit for every podcast, but I really like these shoes. They go great against the color of these chairs. I mean, I would wear those shoes every single time. And in your mind, you're thinking, no, I'm going to change because these are episodes. But if I just have a high belief that these are the best shoes you could ever wear, you might think I'm crazy, but at least you know my passion about it because I love the black. I love the black laces. Shows your ankles.
And cool. And there's a level of respect about that.
Yeah.
Huh.
High conviction. It's like, I learned that term not too long ago. Like they use it quite a bit, I think, in leadership spaces, just in terms of having a high conviction for what you approach. The same goes with our products. So when I go to our product team and I look at our developers, I also look at our marketing side, like what do consumers want? What do they need? Okay, but now I got to look at our developers. How can this be done? How much time is it going to take? How much is it going to cost? Is it even possible? But if I tell both of those parties, this is why when I pick up my phone and I see this and all I got to do is talk and say, noted, I'll send you an email tomorrow at 2 a.m. and automatically it's in their task list. Guys, I didn't even have to touch my phone.
Right.
You see the passion that I describe this function. If you see the passion and someone talking about it, that high conviction, this is going to be amazing. Both these teams can't help but realize, in a sense, I'm right. Or, in other terms, this guy really believes in what he's saying. And I think it'll work because he's so passionate about it.
So talk to me about Productive.
Absolutely, yeah. So Productive.app. When people say app, it's not an app. It's a technology. But Productive.app, if anybody wants to search it. It automates your conversations. And we start with the phone call, the cell phone call. Your cell phone number, nothing changes. It's not like a VoIP system. You download it, set it up. What it does is when you call me, you can do a call greeting, call recordings, if you choose. You can customize the experience. You can even disclose that you're recording to be completely legal and compliant. So when you call me, literally say as you're dialing, hello, connecting you to Joseph, the head of product with Productive. This call is being...
it'll say that?
Yeah, there's like an automated kind of like Siri or Google. Cool. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. And you can customize however you want. And then if you're doing a call recording, if you're choosing to record your calls with transcription, it'll say, this call is being recorded for note-taking purposes. You can customize it like I do. This call is being recorded because Joseph's memory sucks. Again, if you brand yourself that way to make it friendly, because like, oh, why you were recording my calls? Well, because my memory sucks and I need to remember things. When you're in the call, then you have these note-taking features. So if you just say noted, I'll send you an email tomorrow at 9 a.m. Our system detects it, creates a task for you. Remind you.
I told you it was a cool app.
Yeah.
I told you it was a cool
And it's
app.
going to, again, now you think of the technology, our roadmap from there. If you have
it's endless.
Infinite.
Yeah.
Anything you say, oh, hey, let's meet for coffee tomorrow at Starbucks. Okay, now it's going to send you a calendar invite. It's going to put it in my calendar, and now you didn't have to touch your phone.
But I can't even imagine the challenge. Like, hey, Joseph, should we meet for coffee at Starbucks? Now you have to recognize that as a question.
Yes.
So you said as head of product, you work closely from the consumer perspective, but also internally from an engineer coding perspective.
Yeah, I wouldn't say coding because I really have no technical knowledge. When you talk about coding and development, I literally think any feature can be done in like 1 hour. You say that to a developer, like 7
kill
days,
you.
something like that. They'll kill you. They don't like it. They're just like, it's insane.
It's like us with editing, right?
Yeah,
like,
editing. Yeah, no problem. How long will it take you to clean the audio? Is it
10
doing it
minutes.
automatically? It's like 10 minutes. So, yes, from a technical perspective of developing, I have zero understanding. What I do understand is like, this is how it should work. This is how it should feel. My CEO guided me so much along the way. This idea of the thumb reach, when you're using your phone, how comfortable, is there a feature in our app? If you're using our app, again, let me stress this. Once you set up Productive on your cell phone, it's your cell phone number, nothing changes. You do have to set it up using our app, but the app never needs to be open. You answer your call like you always have. If you're driving, you just press the green button. Or your earbud or whatever it is. You take the call.
Oh, and it'll automatically turn on.
Yeah, it's all happening. It's all.
So nobody has to do anything.
Yeah, you don't have to do it. Once it's set up, it takes about 4 minutes on an iPhone to set up, 2 minutes on Android. But once it's set up, you put everything the way you want it, the greetings, whatever you want to do. You could do it by unknown callers, CRM contacts. If you have a CRM, phone contacts. You don't want to record mom, but you want to record your lawyer. You can customize it however you want. And once it's there, you just answer your calls like you always have. Nothing changes.
So what have you seen? The product, in my opinion, from a consumer, especially if I'm like a lawyer.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, there might already be stuff like this out there, but this is the cell phone, iPhone version. Be honest with me. What have the challenges been in the growth of the company?
So lawyers are a perfect example. The problem with lawyers are, not lawyers themselves, they're all fantastic, is that they all use legacy systems. So you go to, you talk to any lawyer, what CRM do you use? They use old, outdated databases that don't connect to anything, as opposed to like Salesforce, HubSpot, they connect to everything. So if you're any company, even like HubSpot has like a free CRM, and all CRM is basically just a place for you to store all of your customer leads.
Yeah, we have Monday.com.
Oh, fantastic,
Yeah,
which is kind of like also does project management. Fantastic.
We use it
for
for
them.
project management. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, well, they should be paying you for that sponsorship because it does seem fantastic. I know quite a bit about it, and it's fantastic product.
Yeah.
So lawyers and every other segment that we get, we talk about medical, we get into traditional sales, inbound, outbound teams. They all use these different systems, so it's very, very difficult. The reason why we started focusing on real estate in particular is that real estate professionals individually all kind of have the same pain point, okay? They all want leads, need leads. Right? They all want whatever they want, but they need leads to really make money.
Well, they do, especially teams.
Absolutely, teams as well, exactly.
Because they got to feed their team leads.
Yes,
right?
Yeah. If you want to join a brokerage and they're insuring, you're going to get 20 leads from us. All right, you just got to take them to show homes or sell their homes, whatever it is. So that's a very repeatable approach that you have with them. Hey, we know your pain point. You take a lot of phone calls. You have a lot of other communications, but we're going to automate every time you answer that call from that lead. Qualify them immediately. Ask them if they're working with another realtor, which is a legal component. Because sometimes you ask, are you working with another realtor? That person that's calling you actually signed something with another realtor. Now, if you sell that person a home, that other realtor is coming for half of your commission. That happens very often. All because you didn't have record of the client potentially saying, no, I'm not working with another
Whereas
realtor.
if they did, and then you start working with them, and then you got screwed out of your $10 million house, you could bring it to court.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's a legal component. Same with lawyers. Like lawyers are always traveling. Lawyers actually want to be able to simply document how long they're speaking to somebody for because they bill them by the minute.
Accountants, lawyers, everything.
Yes. Same with medical. Medical in the U.S. is very
Yeah.
big because there's a whole Medicare thing that when you talk with your doctor, they can actually charge Medicare for how long they spoke with you on the phone consult. The problem is there were a lot of lawsuits in the medical field there because doctors' offices might round up a minute or two. And when there'd be an investigation by Medicare, like you spoke to this person for 10 minutes, show us the call record. Call record when I said 7 minutes. then they get fined. So they stop taking phone calls. So there's so much need and demand for our product.
The honesty in it.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and we always say about, above board compliance, be transparent. We do tell people generally, they have a question about the call recording laws in their state in the US because they vary so much by state to state. Well, like my state doesn't require me to record my calls, but if someone calls you from another state that requires it, what's the legal line there? No one really knows, to be honest. Every lawyer, every association in those states will be like, in court, it may or may not hold up. We just say, listen, be transparent. It's the same with a relationship. Yeah. Dating. You go dating apps, you talk to girls or guys or whatever, and you just say like, dating apps. Girls will be like, what do you look? You look like this. They all sound like that. You look like this. Why are you on this app? I'll be like, listen. They say, what are you looking for? Listen, I'm honestly at this stage of the game, I'm not looking for anything. You just want to build a really good relationship. Same with business. I just want to enjoy talking to you. If I want $1 million from you, you think I really ideally want $1 million from somebody that I hate and that's going to micromanage every move we make? No. You want someone that believes in you. It's the same with the relationship. There's like zero difference, dating and business. It's the same when you talk about how we treat our customers' information. Again, we'll have a real conversation. If I can't guarantee you as a customer of mine, your next relationship isn't going to go in the gutter.
It's impossible.
Because you have to have that trust with each other. And that's what even a lot of our customers, we do onboardings. We'll have real conversations, which we probably shouldn't in some cases, but people want to open up. They want to get to know you. They want to know me as I'm onboarding them into our product. Oh, you have a dog? Well, tell me about your dog. Like the dog will be on Zoom. Yeah. Like, I got to know more about this dog. Is it professional? Probably not.
Sorry to cut you off. It's a level of communication.
Yeah.
I find across, and that's what productive, as well as your past experiences in relationships of any kind, call it in any industry. I love talking about relationships because I think it's really interesting. There's industries and personal relationships. So like romantic relationships, friendships, family, those are different industries of relationships. Just like there are different industries in business, you have different relationships with real estate agents, different relationships with mortgage brokers, insurance brokers, like same idea, right?
Yeah.
And I just find it really interesting that at the end of the day, that blanket level of honest communication and genuine care, you can win in any industry.
Exactly. You can win. And that's like a perfect thing that you just said is that the sale, the relationship, the first date, whatever it is you're pursuing, it is all about projecting, I want to say the confidence, but projecting that you believe in what you're saying. I guess a great example is we just talked about those recording laws. And we do have people that say like, well, if my state, I only have to disclose that it's one party consent. I said, well, listen, to best protect yourself or to better protect yourself, you could do this. And one guy goes, he's like, no, you're right. He's in a single party consent state. He's like, you're right. If they're not willing to be recorded, I don't want to do business with them because he's been screwed over before. And that's a common pain point for many people. They're like, they just don't want to do business with people who aren't willing to technically say things on the record. It's the same why you wouldn't do that with someone that you date.
Interesting.
Why not? Why can't we talk about this? Not what are you hiding? It's like, well, listen, and that's why I could come on here and comfortably say, and I've made peace with it, that I did cheat. That I did something really bad. I have to own it. I have no problem with it because I made a conscious decision. I learned from it in the most heartbreaking way. But it's definitely made me better. Every time I've gone along this journey from when I was 15 pursuing acting, every step along the way, let's just call it winning or losing. Every step along the way when I tried to get back into acting, I made a short film. I got an agent then again when I was like 31. Within 3 weeks of having that agent, I landed a big McDonald's commercial.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was huge because my grandparents, who I loved dearly, they were 98 years old, lived on the road. They have great genetics and they passed now. But when they heard I got a McDonald's commercial, it was as if I won an Oscar. So for me, fundamentally, now that wasn't the win, but that was a big achievement along the way. Yep. Then you don't get a role for a while. Oh, it feels like a loss, but it's not a loss. It's just an obstacle. Maybe a little bit of a failure. Building up. Okay, now I'm going into startup atmosphere. or a little bit of a win, I'm like going to conferences, I'm speaking to more people, I feel comfortable in this new environment. It's building my personality, building my confidence. Same with dating, all these things, talking to VCs. Now, I've never spoken to VCs before, and they're accepting me for who I am. Why? Because of two things. One, just my confidence, my ability to communicate and empathize, but two, the strategic disadvantage. And what that is me being an actor, is me having a weight on my shoulder as a child, not using that and letting it turn into anger. Super important. So I go on stage and you see me perform. Okay, this guy comes out. Interesting. He's got a beard. Is that enough to captivate an audience? Maybe not. But to just go there, be myself, take all that anger and frustration that I've had my entire life for 22 years and let people feel that. Oh, this is a guy. This is a person that's got something underneath the skin, and I want to hear what he's got to say. Not, this is a guy trying to sell me his product.
Yeah, and I think that was the number one thing that's why out of the three guys I approached you.
Well, it's because I said Tinder.
Yeah, there you go.
It's because everyone in that audience, the younger or single demographic of realtors, everyone knows what Tinder is. Now, would you use Tinder now? No, you should be using Bumble or Hinge if you want a better quality of person. But if you do use Tinder, everyone knows, because they're like, it's like saying Coca-Cola. They're the originator.
Everyone knows Tinder,
everyone knows
right?
Tinder. And everyone had a little bit of laugh at it. Even if they're married, they know what Tinder is. And the fact that I could say, you're getting notifications from this, all business stuff, you're getting Tinder. And then the host interacts with me. Why? Because they're like, you know what? This guy's making it fun. This isn't even about the product yet. He's just resonating with people. We all know what Tinder is. He just mentioned it in what we're dealing with from a business perspective. Notification. And it ties in. So if you're selling a product, you're selling it to the lifestyle of that person. So you do, as a realtor, you're literally on call 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
Like technically, if you get a call at 3 a.m, you have to change the offer. It's going to happen. You're doing this while you're with your family. You're doing this while you're on vacation. You're taking a call. Okay, how do I make that easier for you? You know what I mean? Like you're actually out for dinner on a date and you have a lead calling you. You kind of got to take that call.
Yeah, absolutely.
You kind of have to take that call. Now, how can we make that easier for you?
How can you?
Yeah, and we do it by understanding you get Tinder matches every once in a while.
And I think that level of relatability just helps people feel more confident and comfortable in buying decisions. And at the end of the day, it's a business, but making somebody feel that comfortable will allow them to feel comfortable to purchase something from you as the person. That's what you said at the beginning.
Yeah. So again, here I am in this startup space. I've just learned over time, I'm going to lead with my passion. So if you're a VC, you're the head of literally the biggest brokerages in the world, and we're sitting here. I know you've looked at my ring or whatever. I mean, you just gave, we look at each other. We're like, oh, cool. Like, well, what's your background? And I say, oh, I'm an actor. They're expecting me to say, oh, I went to Harvard, talk about my resume. No, I'm an actor. What's their first, if I say I'm an actor, what's the first thing you want to say to me? I'm an actor.
Probably, maybe, honestly, I don't assume you were in any big movies or anything like that.
But you would ask.
But I would ask.
Exactly. That's the first thing they all do. VCs.
What have you been in?
Girls, it doesn't matter who, they all want to know, what have you been in? I've been in stuff. I'm randomly sprinkled in Netflix if you look hard enough. I won't say what I'm in. There are things that I'm in, and I think technically my career still has great legs to it. Because I'm not losing my dream yet.
Yeah.
I'm entering this whole new world, and last week was literally, I believe, the beginning of what I've been working up to for 22 years.
For so long.
And it's not acting, it's performance. It's engaging, it's storytelling, just not on the big screen. It's storytelling to a live audience. And I love that, because that engagement, when that host kind of interrupted me, I don't know if I ever had more fun. And then watching it back,
it's
proud of myself. Proud because I was prepared
to
for that moment to be able to engage someone that I knew was just trying to engage with me because they felt comfortable with me.
So Joseph, as we run out of time today, how can people follow along your journey? See what you get up to. See what movies you're in.
Oh, well, You can find me on IMDb if you want. You could find me on IMDb. Again, I'm not nothing big, but I mean, there's actually a fantastic film that's making the rounds that I filmed about 3 years ago called The Fight Machine.
Oh, beautiful.
Very close with the director, and it's been getting great reviews. It's like an underground fight club meets, Rocky.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
There you go.
It's very rustic. It's gotten fantastic reviews. I'm very proud of it. It's one of my bigger roles. I beat the crap out of the main actor in the first 10 minutes of the film. I've over time tried to a little bit more in a way get away from too much social interaction. The only reason why is my iPhone tells me how much screen time I have, and my business needs me to be on my phone accessible all the time. So I do try to put my phone away a little bit more, and I actually much prefer. And this is why I'm so honored to be here with you. The conversation face to face. When you approaching me, I know for a fact that in 10 years, if you keep this up, whatever your dream is, and I don't know what that is.
Oprah show.
You want Oprah? Okay, fantastic. You want to be Oprah? Or you want to be on Oprah?
I want to be Oprah.
Or you want Oprah here?
Yeah,
that would be great too. You want to be Oprah? If you just keep it up, because you're 18, turning 19, and you have this, you will get there. For me, I know what my end goal is. The trick is, how do you sustain yourself to keep pursuing your dream?
Yeah.
Period. If it takes you having to take on other jobs, so many people do it, but just know your time will come, and it doesn't have to be today. It doesn't have to be tomorrow. Just know that your time will come if you keep up with it. I'm waiting 22 years, and I may be on the verge of it or a big piece of it in a different environment that I maybe wasn't always expecting. But I'm so excited for it.
You know what? That's a really encouraging message to hear, especially, you have your days when you're right. It's you do certain jobs, you run certain businesses to pursue something, to assist in your ability to pursue what the true dream is.
Absolutely. And you just have to accept that there's stages to it. Don't expect instant gratification, no matter how much social media makes it look like. Hey, you can achieve it tomorrow. Oh, and put all your money in cryptocurrency. You have to be comfortable. Actually, it's a perfect example. You have to be comfortable with getting into a trend like that, or doing something that everybody else is doing, and then losing, or being hurt so badly because you lost so much money, being hurt so badly because you lost a relationship, being hurt so badly because that VC or investor wasn't interested in your product. That's okay. Next. What did you learn? Build off of it, continue. And it generally is all fundamentally going to be based on how you communicate. And again, the way you're communicating, that will continually lead you to grow, period. Doesn't matter if the views aren't increasing week to week. You just keep it up, and you're waiting for that spark, just like I do believe my spark was last week.
I love that.
Yeah.
Joseph, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Guys, thank you for listening and watching to this episode of the Meeting Gold Show. Like I said, if you want to reach out to Joseph, feel free to. The Productive app is unbelievable. This piece of technology.
And just say www.productive.app.
Beautiful. Search it up, especially the realtors that are listening.
Yes.
But anybody, if you want to record your mother. All right. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you in the next episode. Cheers.